aguantarse para esto. I'm giving y'all the tea. Hola a todos. Hi everybody. Yo soy Verónica. Estoy aquí para contarle un cuentecito. I'm here to give you a little story time. So you may or may not know, but I used to be a teacher in my hometown back in Massachusetts. Recently retired from teaching. Yes, I retired at 26 years old. I recently moved. So the reason I moved is because I just kind of like woke up one day and just had enough. I had a spiritual awakening. I just wanted to devote myself to prayer to God and get out of this like negative environment. You may see me all la-di-da-di-da, so happy and whatever, and posting my content and just being free, but I'm finally at a point that I'm just like satisfied with life, and it's because I went and I looked for my own happiness. I took action, and I wanted to make a difference in my life, and that's what I did. But really, I'm just like trying to have fun because I finally feel free enough and to take this time, take this opportunity to branch out and discover myself a little bit more. Teaching was always my passion. I always looked up to my teachers growing up, and I've always wanted to give back to the community and help kids, just to not go through what I went through as a kid, which was just having a lack of emotional intelligence, like being too shy, too introverted, and I didn't always grow up around the nicest people either. So life really humbled me a lot. Like I always knew that I had a lot of potential. I would literally like sit in my room and record these vlogs, these hauls, like funny videos. I would literally have my camera roll like filled with so many memories, but I just never had the courage or the confidence to publicly showcase my talents, and I always felt restricted being a teacher as well. And now that I have the time, I just want to put myself out there a little bit more, because that's what we're put on this earth to do, is to connect and make those important connections. And I really have to work on that and just kind of like get out of my little bubble, get out of my little shell. And so this is my form of doing that. All right, so don't be judging me. But let me stop yapping and rambling. That was just a little bit of background of who I am, and let me give y'all the tea. So not to toot my own horn, but I have a lot of experience in the education system, in teaching. Like I have like 6 sobrinos, so I'm pretty well-rounded when it comes to working with kids, being around kids. Like I don't think I ever had a easy year teaching. Like it was tough from the first year to the last year, 5th year out. And I know there's other people who have been teaching for way longer than that, like 20, 30 plus years. I don't know how they do it. Okay, like it was not easy. And I'm sorry y'all, like I don't consider myself the best storyteller, but I have a lot to say, okay? I went from being like an assistant in preschools and like other schools around my community to being a Spanish teacher in una escuelita very well known but owned by the it's essentially like a private school, smaller, owned by the public system. And this school, like a lot of people went there. I went there for kindergarten. Everybody would want to send their kids there. They would have a whole lottery system just for you to get in. And you would think that that school has like a very good reputation, that they're very like firm and standing on business, and but that's really all they cared about, was their reputation. Because behind the scenes, I'm seeing now that I left, like a lot of controversy. I mean, it's nothing new. Like this has been going on for while I was working there years in esa escuelita, I'm gonna call it. And this is the same superintendent that used to be the superintendent of my escuelita. But I see a lot of controversy now. This document going around that the system is really going to more for like the treatment of teachers. But it's just so crazy how I'm seeing so much controversy around the public system in the city that I used to work in. And I mean, it's not to my surprise, but it's just crazy everything that's happening, and how so many other women in this field, or just teachers in general in this field, feel the same way. But nobody really does anything about it. And you know, it's not like we're gonna go on strike or whatever, but I always used to like want to be that change maker. So hopefully my story does something. So this is just why I want to share my story. It's not to get to gossip, it's not to throw down anybody's name, but I just want to see like actual change being done. I know that teaching lately is a very popular profession, especially for women, and I just kind of ended up realizing that there was many obstacles in my way for me to just grow and become the best version of myself. I just had little to no motivation to continue going on this path. So I already wanted to leave, but I felt called. I felt like something was telling me to just stay another year. Okay, just stay another year. And little did I know that I would be starting the worst year ever of my teaching career this past year. So yeah, like 4 to 5 years in esta escuelita, y'all, y they did me so dirty, y'all, like you don't even know. But I'm about to tell you. Mind you, I defended this school so much. Like, my sobrino attended this school, they still let me work there, they still let me teach. This is where I had my start to my career, where I grew my experience, where I learned everything that I know. So, but I can't give them credit because I'm gonna say like I basically had to self-teach myself. I just had the opportunity to be in the role that they gave me. And it's just crazy because the people who hired me, the people who put me in those roles, they're not even working there anymore. And they were like the head of the schools. And if even the head of the schools who have been there for so many years left that school, that's a red flag right there. And I ignored the red flags, okay, when I took this role as a Spanish teacher. Joe, because the previous Spanish teacher, they did her so dirty, y'all. Like, I don't even know the full story, pero I should have listened. And even all my friends that used to work there, they fired all of them. So like literally I was like the last man standing. Like, I was like the youngest, one of the youngest teachers there, and like I had other people to support me, but it's like, imagine, like, being a teacher is already a lot, so receiving support is like little to none. And a lot of my other younger coworkers were still in school, so it's like I couldn't really relate as much. So everything was cool, whatever. I worked there from like 2020 to like 2025, and through COVID, through the big C, with these COVID children, with these yo no sabo children. But yeah, so I was also just like going through a lot. I was moving out into my apartment, going through relationship stuff. Yeah, it was just like too much. My body would just be like so sore and so tired, as if I had been working out the whole entire day. I was getting no sleep from the stress, the anxiety, the depression. Like, I would literally walk like this, like if I was crippled, and get asked if I was okay, because as a teacher, like, you're basically supposed to be circling around the class and like engaging with students all the time. So I was on my feet a lot, and like if people came into my class and saw me sitting down, they would literally judge me. They would literally like act like I was doing something wrong. The only time I got to sit down was during my like 30-minute break, 30-minute lunch, and this wasn't even like to sit down. Like, I had to go warm up food, go use the bathroom. The only time that I had like if I didn't finish planning, like I would have to finish my planning, clean the classroom, make copies. Like, it was just it wasn't really like a downtime. And even if they would give you like lesson planning time as a teacher, that wouldn't even be enough. It would give me so much work, like just piling it on and piling it on as each year went. And I would have the task of basically a desk job plus on top of all of that, like actually teaching. I would have to do lesson planning, editing the curriculum, like sending newsletters, emails, scheduling, organizing, translating, speaking to in parent conferences, events, meetings. I would have to do lunch duty, bus duty at the end of the day. Like, I did it all, baby. I was overworked. Like, me as a person, like, I don't like to do things halfway. Like, I like to go in and I like to put in all my effort. I would be working really, really hard. I would even have to go home and take some of the work home with me because I would have to grade, and there was no time for grading during work hours. So I had to do my grading at home, and I would have parents like messaging me from like 6 to 9 p.m. I kid you not. I would get messages from parents and not even being like the kids' homeroom teachers. I'm telling you, like, nobody wanted my role, nobody wanted my position, and I took this position to help the school, to show my potential. And because like I love my culture, I love speaking Spanish, I love teaching Spanish, and I don't want these kids to be Joe No Sabo kids. You would think that the school would be more appreciative, you know, of teachers like me, for taking on these really tough roles. This baby here. But no, of course not. They would literally question me, like if I wasn't educated enough. They would act like I hadn't been there working there like prior years. They would treat new teachers that would come in way better than they would treat the veteran teachers, or like teachers that have been growing in that school, such as I. And obviously, like, we not getting paid good, we getting paid bare minimum. In fact, I kid you not, I would have somebody who was in charge of doing the Spanish curriculum, and they will literally say, hey, I know you're overwhelmed, but here's another pebble, here's another rock to add to your pile. When it was literally their job the whole time to do that. They would give it to me and act like I had to do it. Did I do it? No. Where was I gonna find the time to do things like that? And then I would have to take the fault. And then that person would go to everybody else in the other buildings, because this school is not like, oh, one big building. It's like multiple buildings spread out. So they will literally go to every other building and talk about me behind my back and like just trash how I would teach, trash my name, like with my name in their mouth. And mind you, I was already teaching like from 8 to 11 classes a day. Like, that's abuse. You do the math. And each class would come in like 30 to 45 minutes. I would have to deal with so many multiple different personalities. Like, once you think that you have one class under control, boom, ahí viene otra clase, and you have to start all over, and you have to repeat the whole lesson all over again. And like, of course, like, Spanish is kind of like extra curriculum to little kids. Like, little kids, they should be learning Spanish at home, but since they're not, like, it's a privilege to be learning Spanish in the school. And they would treat this Spanish class like if it was just like another extra curriculum, like if it was like us, like they would give me the worst time slots, the worst like classes. They would not know how to put kids together, like based on behavior and based on like learning. Like, it was a mess, and I essentially had to pick up that mess. Like, I would literally, the mess would fall on top of me, and I would get 0 credit, 0 recognition, 0 awards. You can just imagine years after years passing by, and like all these new teachers are getting all these awards and all these acknowledgments, and I'm just here like, okay, it's just like, when is it my turn to be recognized? And I wasn't gonna wait for that. Like, the class management had to be on point, and me, it's not giving strict teacher vibes over here. So like, I would like to have make Spanish fun. Like, I wouldn't want it to be like when we were little growing up, that most likely our teacher was a señora, una doña, y it was boring. Okay, like, I would literally have mentors telling me like, oh, you should do this in your class, you should play music, and you should show them these dances, and you should incorporate all these fun, engaging activities. But then when I did, I would essentially like get looked down upon for doing that. And of course, like, it was already hard enough for me, my introverted self, to even ask for help. So when I did ask for help and I received none or little to none, it just kind of hurt a bit. And so, like, apart from barely receiving any support or help, or dealing with everything in the classroom, at home, whatever, I had people that I would have to do. I would find even more challenges outside of the classroom. If it wasn't dealing with sassy parents, some of them were really nice, but the majority, they were very protective, it was giving sassy. It would be also dealing with like harassment and bullying from certain toxic staff members. I don't know if I was like an easy target to them because I'm just like so closed off and private and quiet, because I was also one of the youngest teachers there and I was still learning. And I also just like had this whole different persona than what like a traditional Spanish teacher has. I don't know what it was, but I would literally get harassed and attacked in this school. I'm just like trying not to get overwhelmed because it took me so long to actually like have this courage to like open up to you guys and like tell you what I went through. Like, it's September now, but like I've been going through this the whole entire school year. And ask me if somebody asked what was wrong. Ask me if somebody actually wanted to help. No, like, I would be dragged into meetings with a parent who I would do so much for her daughter, and she would literally just like talk so bad about me to the school. She would like basically just be upset that her daughter had to learn Spanish, and basically questioning my teaching skills and my abilities. And it wasn't just her, like, there was also another woman, another doña, una señora, that was like way older than me. Like, I don't even know how old she was, 50, 60 years old. And I kid you not, she would literally come into my classroom and harass the out of me. And she's just so lucky that I never reported her. Like, I'm just not one for the drama, because if I said something, the whole school would find out. The whole school would know. So that's why I'm saying something now. It's just because, like, you know, it was kind of dealt with on the hush hush down low, but like, it was bad. She would literally come into my classroom and she would like interrupt my lesson as I'm teaching the kids, and she would try to correct me on my language. She would try to correct me on what I was teaching and just make me look bad, like really, really bad in front of the kids, so much that the kids would notice, and the kids would be like, oh, she's gonna come in here. Oh, like, they would literally be afraid that she was gonna come in, and I would literally be afraid that she was gonna come in. And like, every day that I would go to work, I was afraid that she would come near me and harass me and bully me again. And she literally also came in one day. She would leave notes, like, you don't say this, you have to say it like this, like you're saying it wrong. and she would like change some of the stuff that I had, or she would like cross it out and like write it again instead of just asking me or telling me like, hey, like, you know, in a nice way. She would do it sneakily behind my back, and she literally came in one day and she have to take all these phone calls in her little office next to me. And you know, kids get loud, so she would be kind of upset that the kids would get loud at certain points. Like, obviously I know how to control these kids, I've been working here for so long. And she would make it seem like she would literally stand by my door and just listen, and stand by my door and be like, why are these kids so, like, throwing shade, like, why are these kids being so loud, like, are they even learning something in here, like, I'm going to report this teacher. And she came and she grabbed my phone from my desk, she reached over me and she was like, I'm gonna report you to the principal, and if you don't learn how to control these kids or quiet these kids down, da 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 da. So my anxiety was like, and the ghetto in me was like trying so hard not to go off on her, not, you know, but I was just like the kids are right there, like, why are you acting like this, like, you can't do this. And then, you know, like, obviously she sent like her little apology email, but that was the end of that. Like, I'm literally getting anxiety just talking about it. But on top of that, like, those two women, a couple other women, like, I didn't get along really that well with my supervisor. And she wasn't that much older, she was literally could have been my sister, like, she was like in her 30s. And you know, she was a Latina as well, so you would think like, hey, like, girl power, like, let's support each other, we're Latinas, you know, like, I'm trying to learn from you. No, like, I'm not looking up to these women. She would like literally like be like, oh, you're young still, so basically like you don't know nothing. And she wouldn't believe in me, like, she would believe what those women or all the other older people had to say about me, would believe their word over mine, and she would be fake nice and fake act like she cared. But little by little, as the years went on, like, as the year went on, I knew that she really like didn't like me and really had it out for me. And it was like so sad, because it's like, why are you trying to fire me, why are you trying to bring me down so bad? Like, is it envidia, is it what, because I'm young? Like, I don't believe that, that's BS. And one day they literally encourage us to like go and take our test to pass our teacher licenses, and it was time for me to do that. So I was like, oh my god, like, I really need to go take this test for this to keep having my teacher license, to continue teaching. And they literally encourage us to take the day off to go and do that. So I'm like, I tell my boss the day before, I'm like, okay, like, I have this test scheduled, it was the only opening that they had, the only time for me to do it in time to continue getting my license and continue teaching. And she was like, oh yeah, like, you should do that. And so that's what I did. And the next morning, before I took my, or I didn't find out till after I took my test, but when I got out of the test, she was like, oh, like, I'm gonna have to report you for a no call, no show. She literally called my parents. I'm a grown-ass woman, and she called my parents asking where I was. Like, my parents, mind you, are not even in the country at this time. And she's calling them like, where is Miss Jorge? Miss Jorge didn't show up for work. Da 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 da. And I'm like, my jaw is literally like, I literally just told her the day I gave her notice that I was going, and she tried to like turn it into this whole story that I did a no call, no show. Like, that's when I knew, like, are you trying to get me fired? Like, you are so shady. But whatever, I'm out of that, I'm free. And I just thank God every day for the lessons that I learned. And and the opportunity to do something new in my life. And you know, I believe in karma, I believe in the golden rule. So, and it's literally funny because their lives, like, a lot of things started happening in their lives, those people's lives that were making my life harder. So that's why I'm no longer teaching, because I went through so much this past school year that I just couldn't take it anymore. Teaching is just a fast road to burnout. So I didn't see a future there anymore, but I still wanted to work with kids. I still have a passion for education and learning. So there's other ways that I can teach and other ways I can learn. And even if I don't know what that is yet, where my path is yet, I know that I believe in God's plan for me, and I know that God is with me, and I know that spiritually I am being led into the correct path for me. So if you want to be a teacher, if you're already a teacher, if you're in the education system at all, my advice would just be to find your circle, be careful, you know, make connections with the right people, and don't be so easily influenced. Like, I don't know. And you know what's funny enough is, like, after the treatment and dealing with it, I just kind of stayed quiet to myself. I tried to find like my little circle of support, and I started reaching out to other teachers who did end up supporting me, but like it was already the end of the year, so I was like, whatever, like I'm leaving anyways, so I'm gonna do that. And I was like, God works in mysterious ways.